Hi there. My name is James, and I am a co-founder of Gimbal Labs and a veteran of Project Catalyst. And I haven't made a video like this in a while just because I've been so deep in building mode. I could tell you about that some other time. But I was looking through Reddit this morning, and I saw that a lot of different people who are new to Cardano have a lot of different sorts of questions about staking. And so this video probably isn't for everybody, but if you're somebody who's kind of been trying to figure out what it's all about and what your responsibility is as an ADA holder, I just wanted to put this video out there just in case it's helpful to anybody. What I'm going to try to do here is take some big ideas and oversimplify them quite a lot. If I get something wrong, please call me out on it. I don't mean to confuse anybody, but I really do want to throw some issues on the table and allow, more and more people to understand the decision they have to make and what they're really doing when they stake. So let's jump right into this. I'm going to try to make this video relatively short. We'll see. Sometimes I get to talking and I keep going. But let's just rush through some ideas, and please promise me that if I leave you with questions, that you'll follow up. Okay, because I don't want to leave you hanging. All right, so first of all, what are you really doing when you stake your ADA? Well, at a really basic level, you are saying that you trust the stake pool that you're delegating your funds to be telling the truth. You trust this Cardano node that's producing blocks and propagating truth on the Cardano blockchain. You trust them that they're being honest about that. It's a bit like voting, because the more delegation that goes to any given pool, the more likely that pool is to mint a block. And when a pool mints a block, that now becomes part of the permanent ledger on the blockchain. There's other places you can look for this technology. I'm probably skipping a lot of details right here, but this really is at the root of it, right? You're voting to trust an operator to do the right thing for the network. Now, you've probably heard of proof of work, which is the consensus algorithm for Bitcoin and for Ethereum and for a lot of other blockchains, and how this is different from proof of stake on Cardano. What both have in common is that they're based on this idea of proof, and proof implies trust, right? If somebody can give me evidence and prove that what they're saying is true, I am more likely to trust them. And if we have trust, that leads to consensus. When big groups of people, especially those who don't really know each other, can trust each other somehow, we can all agree. And this is the magic of blockchains, right? This allows strangers distributed across the globe to agree on a source of truth, to have consensus. And that's why both proof of work and proof of stake are called consensus algorithms. Now, with the right incentive structures, we can help minimize the need just for somebody to say, hey, trust me, right? And there's some really clever things that people have tried. With Bitcoin, with any proof of work system, right? I'm oversimplifying here, but we're basically trusting somebody because they have put in the effort to run a powerful computer that can solve hard math problems. Proof of stake is different. We are trusting somebody because they own a piece of the network, right? And with Cardano, for example, this means they own ADA, right? They own a certain amount of ADA, which means that they have a stake in the network running well and honestly and truthfully. So what could possibly go wrong with either of these methods? Well, proof of work, we're seeing it with Bitcoin right now, might lead to ecological disaster. Okay, the amount of electricity, you can look it up for yourself, how much power is used to run the Bitcoin network, and you can decide for yourself if that's the world you want to live in. But with proof of stake, is this any better? We could have runaway oligarchy. This sounds a little bit like the world we already live in. So I'm not sure that these blockchains are really doing us any good. If one method just leads to more ecological meltdown and another method just leads to a greater oligarchic regime across the world, is any of this really helping us? Well, maybe. Can we avoid these things? Probably not. Humans have shown that we have all sorts of self-destructive tendencies and abilities to contribute to ecological disaster and inequity and all that. It is what it is. But right now we have a chance with the right incentive models, and each of us, you right there, watching this video, owning ADA and thinking about your role in the network, with the right incentives and the right understanding among each of us about the role we have to play, maybe we have a chance to create a better world. There are absolutely no guarantees right now. But if we work hard and we spread the word about this, we might have a chance. And that's really why I'm here. I see this technology as having a potential to create a better world for all of us to live in. I want to reiterate, there's no guarantees, and we're all going to have to work hard for it. Okay, so Cardano has an innovative incentive structure and a lighter ecological footprint. There's no guarantee that Cardano is going to do anything to counteract humanity's oligarchic tendencies, but it has a chance. And the reason it has a chance is because it's built to incentivize all stakeholders to contribute to the decentralization and to the resilience of the network. They do this through staking rewards. All of us who own ADA, we have the ability to delegate our stake in the network to honest actors who propagate truth throughout the network in a hopefully resilient way. This is incentivized by the Cardano protocol itself. Where do those rewards come from? Well, first of all, through monetary expansion. This is kind of the bootstrapping era of Cardano. And right now, you can look up the exact number. There's approximately a little bit more than 32 billion ADA outstanding right now. And when the last ADA is minted, there will be a total of 45 billion ADA in circulation. So that delta in between where we are now and 45 billion, that a little less than 13 billion ADA will be released into the ecosystem over time. And one of the places it will go is to rewarding stake pool operators and their delegators. Eventually, that money will run out, and we're hoping that the network continues to provide staking rewards. And those are going to come in the form of transaction fees. If the network is being used, every time it's used, that generates a transaction fee. All of those transaction fees go into the incentive pool that's then distributed among stakeholders in Cardano. The question is, will those transaction fees ramp up fast enough as the monetary expansion over time slows down, right? And will we be able to enjoy a relatively consistent level of staking rewards? We don't know. It's an open question, right? As monetary expansion dries up, maybe there won't be enough transaction fees to replace that, right? This system has to be used in order to continue to provide the incentives that are built in. Okay, so we're hoping that staking is profitable, but is it safe? Well, you really have to understand this. If you hold your ADA in Daedalus or Yoroi, and you hold your private keys, you know your seed phrase, and nobody else does, then you are the only person with access to your money. But if you don't hold those private keys, it's not your money. If your money is on an exchange like Binance or Coinbase right now, you do not own your private keys. And therefore, you are not the only person with access to your money. Okay. And I should mention there are other wallets besides Daedalus or Yoroi, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Okay. For now, just recognize that if you hold your private keys and they're in a wallet that only you have access to, you're the only person with access to your money. And when you stake, you still are the only person who has access to your money. You're still the only custodian of your money. Your stake pool operator, who you delegate to, cannot touch your ADA because you have the private keys. You are in no danger. There's no mechanism by which your stake pool operator, that's what SPO stands for, can take the ADA that you own. The worst thing that could happen is that they're either dishonest or incompetent and somehow they fail to let you earn the rewards that the protocol entitles you to, all right? But you're not going to lose your money as long as, once again, you hold your private keys. Obviously, if you just gave your private keys to your stake pool operator, then yes, they do have access to your money. But that's true of anybody to whom you give your private keys, okay? Again, when you stake your ADA through Daedalus or Yoroi, you are not giving anyone access to your money, okay? You're just trying to make sure that you earn the maximum amount of rewards possible. Okay, so how is a stake pool operator rewarded? Okay, well, the calendar is split up into epochs, and an epoch lasts 5 days. That means that 365 divided by 5, there's 73 of these 5-day epochs in a year. Every epoch that a stake pool produces a block, whether it's 1 block or 50 blocks or 100 blocks, no matter what, the stake pool automatically gets a minimum fee of 340 ADA. Okay, so if you run a pool, it makes 1 or more blocks. You, as the stake pool operator, you get 340 ADA as a flat fee for that. Okay, that's the minimum. Plus, stake pool operators can set a margin or what's called a variable fee for any percentage they want. It's typically between 0 and 5%. But as you'll see in just a moment, it can be higher than that if people want it to be. Okay, so we're going to look at some examples on Pool Tool right now just to see what this looks like. But before we do, just a little bit more vocabulary. Every stake pool operator must pledge a certain amount of ADA, right? And this is like their promise about how much of their ADA they are delegating to their own pool, okay? It's a way of saying I have skin in the game. And also beyond the scope of this video is how much of an impact that pledge has on the amount of pool rewards. This is a really interesting debate going on within the Cardano community right now. And if you're looking for a way to follow up with this video, that might be something that you want to learn more about, okay? But long story short, every stake pool operator has to commit a pledge, and that represents how much they are delegating to their own pool, how much they're promising to keep delegated. And then the saturation is the maximum amount of staked ADA that has an influence on rewards. And what this means is this, okay? Right now, the saturation point is approximately 64 million ADA, okay? What this means is that over and above 64 million ADA, there are no additional rewards. So what we can say is that obviously a pool with 64 million ADA staked has more influence over the network and will therefore earn more rewards than a pool with 1 million ADA staked, right? Again, go back to that idea of voting. A pool with 64 million ADA staked has that much of a voting weight that it is believed to be an honest actor, whereas a pool with 1 million ADA staked has a fraction of that and therefore has less of a possibility of creating new blocks and earning rewards for those blocks. However, anything over 64 million, that makes no greater influence, right? So for example, a pool with 100 100 million ADA staked has exactly the same level of influence as a pool with 64 million ADA staked, and it will earn in total the same amount of rewards, which will then be divided up among all of the ADA that's pledged or staked to that pool. Okay, so both of these pools might earn the same total amount of ADA, and percentage-wise, obviously, the same amount out of a bigger amount is a lower percentage, a lower percentage out of 100 million than out of 64, but it represents the same total amount of ADA. Okay. Now, this is an example of how incentives are designed on Cardano to try to prevent that problem of oligarchy that I was talking about earlier in this video, right? By setting a limit to how much influence an individual pool can have, this disincentivizes somebody from, trying to make a pool with 3 billion ADA in it, right? And getting that disproportionate say over how the network is run. I'm oversimplifying once again, but I hope that general idea makes sense and helps you think about what's happening. Okay, so let's go over to PoolTool and take a look. If you've never seen this before, pooltool.io, this gives us a list of all the stake pools. How many are there right now? There's over 2,500 active pools. And we can look at all sorts of information about these things. But what I'm doing here is I can sort by live stake or active stake, right? So I can see actually at the top of this list, good old eToro, they're a brokerage service that got into selling crypto, I think. They have a pool with 247 million ADA staked. As you can see, that represents more than 1% of the ADA staked on the network. But again, this pool will have no more influence on the network than one with 64 million. Now, as I scroll down, look, here's more eToro. And then I can see, Binance has a saturated pool. Binance has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh. That's a lot of pools that Binance has. They're an exchange where, oh my gosh, look, wait a minute, hold on. If I make a list of the top 50 pools by live stake, I'm seeing the word Binance quite a lot. Wow, okay, so look at all this ADA that's staked here. 65 million times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So it looks like I'm looking at the top 50 pools by amount of stake. And did I just count to 36? So Binance has all of these pools, and all the ADA that's delegated to those pools is not actually in custody of individual ADA holders. People who are staking their ADA on Binance, they don't actually own their private keys, and Binance still has custody of their money. Okay, and my goodness, that's a big chunk of the network. I also noticed, by the way, look at the declared pledge, right? So like here's a 1% pool with a pledge of over 200,000 ADA, 100,000 ADA, 100,000 ADA. eToro somehow gets away without pledging anything. How much does Binance pledge? How much are they saying, hey, you can trust us in the long term? They're pledging 2 ADA, right? 2 ADA to each of these pools, 2.0, right? A little less than $4 right now is staked in each of these. As you can probably imagine, I'm being facetious right now. This is a problem. This is not in the best interest of the network, okay? So why support small pools? Well, first of all, we have a choice of leaving our ADA on exchanges and allowing a centralized entity like Binance to have an untold sway over the network. Right? Do some back of the napkin math there. I just counted 36 pools times 64 million each. Now I'm on the spot, but that's definitely over 1 billion ADA, isn't it? Can somebody do the math for me? Okay. So why support small pools? Well, the more we help a greater number of small, and I think small is even a misleading word right here, single operator pools, pools run by individuals to thrive, the more resilient the network will be. The more we distribute our trust across that network, the less the damage will be if it turns out that someone betrays that trust. Is Binance likely to betray that trust? Well, honestly, it's kind of irrelevant. I don't know if they're likely to. I don't know if we can trust Binance, but it doesn't matter. If they did betray that trust, what's the cost of that? They have an outsized influence over the Cardano network. Whereas if we truly had 2,500 single operator pools, that would definitely be a much more resilient network than the one that we see right now. Now, the other thing is the Cardano ecosystem is full of builders who also run stake pools. And why should we care about builders? Well, remember that thing I said before about transaction fees, right? As monetary expansion slows down, what's going to make the Cardano network thrive in the long term is usage. We need to be able to do things on Cardano. We need builders building. If transaction fees are going to exceed the decrease in monetary expansion. So, okay, we're going to look at examples in just a minute. Let me show you just a few examples of builders who you might choose to support if you're looking to support a stake pool that actually has the long-term goals of the network in mind, okay? There's this website called pool.pm. It's run by Smog, okay? And this is one of the few places you can actually go to look at all your NFTs. That's beyond the scope of this video too, but if somebody wants to put in the comments or make your own video about how to look at NFTs on pool.pm, that could be really cool. Why don't I just show you real quick? If I go, where is it? This one, tokens, right? So I can actually see the activity of all the NFTs coming through Cardano right now. Any of us who own NFTs, we can look at ours here. We'll talk more about unsigs in just a second. Okay. So, I mean, this is a really valuable tool. I can go look at any stake pool here, but for example, I can see Smog's pool right here. So ticker is Smog, has 434 delegations. How many hits does this website get every day and every week? I think it's a lot. People are using this website all the time right now, and it's providing an absolutely essential service to the community. And Smog has a million ADA pledged. Okay, you can see this is pretty small right here. Can I make this a little bigger? Oh, nah, it's not working. Okay, but I can see right here. Yeah, Smog has 1 million ADA pledged. A 0% margin, is not even taking any extra money off the top. Okay, and is only 20% saturated. So compare this to Binance. Binance, 36 of the top 50 pools, each has 2 ADA pledged, and each is taking a 6% margin, versus Smog, who provides an essential service to our community, has 1 million ADA pledged, which is crazy. That's so much ADA, and charges 0 margin and they have about 20% of the ADA staked as compared to a single Binance pool. You decide if that's okay. Unsigned Algorithms. This is an amazing NFT project, but that's beyond the scope of this video. But one of the creators behind Unsigned Algorithms is Monad. Monad Pool. Coming in at 143,000 ADA pledged. Still, hundreds of thousand times more ADA pledged than... I shouldn't say hundreds of thousands. That's not true. 70,000 times the amount of ADA pledged as a Binance pool. 0% margin. Providing value to the community. Unlocking community and imagination. How much ADA pledged? 4.7 million. 7.3% of saturation. You looking for somebody to support? Here. Or maybe you've heard of Space Buds and Alessandro. Maybe you saw this tweet the other day about how he's building a Chrome-based extension that can be injected into any website. Injected into any website. He's going to make it possible to use ADA on any website. Kind of like MetaMask did for Ethereum. This tweet has been retweeted 238 times. It has over 1,000 likes. Alessandro famously made the first very successful NFT release with Space Buds. He is building for the long term. Truly, his stake pool must be saturated, right? 2.3 million delegation. 450,000 pledged. That's a pretty strong promise. 1.5% margin. That's fair. 3.7% saturation. You want to support somebody? You want to find somebody who's going to help build this network? How about my colleague, Giovanni, who's a Plutus pioneer, who teaches people how to run a stake pool on Raspberry Pi, who teaches people what he's learning from the Plutus Pioneers program through all these videos. How many hours of video has Giovanni produced? Who is working on the Gimbal Labs team right now, along with my co-founder Roberto, to build Dandelion, which is going to decentralize and democratize our access to Cardano APIs so that all of us can build on things. If you've never watched one of Giovanni's videos before, do yourself a favor. How's his pool looking? 100,000 ADA pledged, 1.8 million staked. Again, you decide. Another colleague of mine runs Lyft Wallet. He made Lyft Wallet. He runs Lyft Stake Pool. This is a charity-driven pool. He takes the margin that he earns and gives half of it to charities. He's building a .NET integration library so that developers who know how to program in .NET can build on Cardano. You think that's going to drive adoption? Well, this stake pool doesn't even have enough stake delegated to be guaranteed a block every epoch. Right? So the way it works out, long story short, is that you need approximately 1.5 million ADA to expect to get one block per epoch. And remember, as long as you get one block per epoch, you're at least going to earn that 340 ADA as a stake pool operator. Lyft Stake Pool can't even count on that. My co-founder, Roberto, runs Peace Pool. He started Dandelion, started this idea, has contributed to all sorts of projects across the ecosystem, and is driving decentralization in his day-to-day work and in all of his action. Peace Stake Pool has 51,000 ADA pledged and is currently less than 5% saturated at 3 million. I told you that I'm a co-founder at Gimbal Labs along with Roberto and Julie. We have a stake pool. We're able to have 18,000 pledged. We would like to have a higher pledge than that, but this is where we're at right now. We do have a higher margin than zero, and I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. And we're right around that magic number of 1.5 million ADA staked. In the lifetime of our pool, which only went online about 2 months ago when we really felt confident saying that we had something to offer to the ecosystem. That's when we started this pool. And listen, it's been wonderful. This pool has generated an income for Gimbal Labs of about 2,400 ADA since we started it, at a cost of a little less than $300 US, right? So even having this pool, it's done a lot of good for us, and it's allowing us to pay for real development work that we're doing. But I can only dream about, if this was saturated, what good that would do. And so let's just look for a moment at what good that would do if this pool was saturated. Let's just take a look. So here's an example, right? Let's say you have a saturated pool with 64 million ADA staked. And just to simplify the math here, this is not totally true, but we're going to suppose that a stake pool total brings in about 5% annually. It's actually right now a little bit higher than that on average. And again, we have to make the distinction between how much the stake pool is bringing in total rewards and how much it's paying out to its delegators. And in most pools, what's paid out to the delegators is right around 5% annualized. And so the total rewards that go to the pool are just a little bit higher than that. Okay. So suppose you have a saturated pool, 64 million ADA staked, right? At this potential return of 5% annually. 5% of 64 million is 3.2 million ADA. So if a pool says, okay, we're going to take a 5% variable, what is it called on Pool Tool? The variable fee, right? We're going to take a 5% variable fee, or a 5%. Whoa. Sorry. My mouse wheel just ran away. Coming back. Here we go. Okay. That would represent 160,000 ADA. And then you've got, remember, every epic, the fixed fee of 340 ADA. So that's another 24,000 plus. So if you are running a saturated stake pool, you can estimate that that would generate about 184,000 ADA per year. 108, if I'm rounding properly, 185, whatever, right? And at current market value of about $1.50 per ADA, look at this. This is a $270,000 income for running one saturated pool at a margin of 5%. Gimbal Labs would do some really good things. We would be able to pay a lot of developers with that money right now. That would really go a long way for us. Remember that math we did. Binance is actually charging more for their fixed fee and higher than 5%. So if we redid these numbers with Binance, it would actually come out to higher than 184,000 ADA per year. And then we're going to multiply that. I'm scared to keep looking at this list. Like, does the Binance continue? Yeah, there's a few more. It looks like there's at least 40 of these Binance pools, all saturated. 40 times, let's just round this. I mean, if I round this up a little bit to 200,000 because it was a 6% margin, yeah, that's safe. Okay. So yeah, more than 200,000 ADA per year at a 6% margin. 40 pools times 200,000 ADA per year. You do the math on how much the rewards are for Binance. Now, a saturated pool with a 1% margin, the math does look quite different, right? If somebody's keeping their margin low, they're still getting the fixed fee, but if their variable fee is just 1%, that's dramatically less ADA into their pockets per year. I showed you some of these really critical builders on Cardano are charging 0% variable fee right now. That means this is all they're getting, right? Gimbal Labs is charging pi percent, 3.14%. So if we were saturated, we'd be earning 96,000 ADA per year, but we're not. We have a fraction of the 64 million staked. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm complaining. I'm really trying to give you a way to think about your responsibility as a delegator, right? Okay, so Gimbal Labs, for example, if we had a 5% margin, which we don't, we have a 3.14% margin. But if we had, the 1.5 million ADA staked, 5% of that would be 75K. A 5% variable fee would be 3,700. But at that number, we're actually not generating a block every epoch, so we can't count on 73 times 340. I can show you right here. If I go to Gimbal, and we can look at our epoch history, right? So in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Out of the last 14 epochs, we've created blocks in 6 of them. So we've hit that 340 fixed fee 6 out of 14 times. And then we earn a little bit more than that, right? If there's a couple of extra blocks. Okay, so you're not really sure what you're going to get if you're right around that threshold. And so it's really nice to be at the threshold where you can count on getting at least one block every epoch. So you can at least count on this 24,820 ADA per year. Okay. So our total is uncertain. Again, not complaining. Everything we get, damn right we're going to apply it to the work we're doing, okay? But I just want you to know that's how the math works out. Now, when it comes to that variable fee, this can be really misleading, and I want to be really clear about this. So let's say you own 1,000 ADA, and you're trying to figure out where to stake it, and you're trying to compare between a pool that has a 5% variable fee and one that has a 1% or even a 0% variable fee. All right, you have 1,000 ADA. 5% on that each year would mean that you can expect to earn rewards of 50 more ADA. Awesome. A 1% margin would represent, right? A 1% variable fee would mean that you got 49.5 ADA, and the SPO gets a half an ADA for doing the work, okay? At a 5% margin, you would still get 47.5% ADA, and the SPO would get 2.5. I'm showing you this because I want you to recognize, is it worth it to you to pay somebody like Smog an extra 2 ADA on every 1,000 you own per year? Is it worth it to give that to the artists behind Monad or behind Unsigned Algorithms? Is it worth it to give that to Alessandro, who's building stuff that we're all going to be using really soon? An extra 2 ADA on every 1,000 every year, is that worth it? And maybe you have more than 1,000 ADA, so the numbers go up a little bit. But still, if you're earning 2,475 ADA for doing nothing versus 2,375 ADA for doing nothing, and you have the chance to give a builder an extra 100 ADA per year to fund that work so that you can keep earning rewards in the future, is it worth it? You'll decide. I hope this video was helpful. Nothing is guaranteed about the future we are building right now, and it's up to each of us to understand the role we play in a proof of stake system. I trust you to think pretty carefully about the decisions you're going to make. Drop me a line in the comments if you have questions. Thanks for watching this, and talk to you soon.